Today on Nerdalific, we're going to look at how to use a VLOOKUP formula in Excel. If you have a list of information in your spreadsheet, but you're missing one vital piece of information that is available on a different spreadsheet, you can use a VLOOKUP to pull in that missing information. There's two different ways you can enter the VLOOKUP formula. One is by using the function bar, and the second is by typing it in. We're going to start by typing it in. Now on the summary sheet, we have a list of materials. And on the second sheet called details, we have the price per item. Now we don't have the description available in the second list. All we have is the item number, which is in a different order than the summary sheet. But that doesn't matter. In a VLOOKUP, it will look for that specific criteria in the second list, regardless of the order. To get the price per, we're going to click on cell E4 and type in equals VLOOKUP. Now as you can see, Excel has already pulled up the beginning of a VLOOKUP formula. If you hit the tab button, it will automatically start the beginning of the formula. Now if you look up the pop-up, it says lookup value. That means the very first thing that we need to add to this formula is the information that we need to search on the second list. Now we can just click on the cell. So we want to stay on the same line and click on the item number because that is the item number that we are going to look for in the second list. Comma, the table array. That is the list that you are going to find the information or search for the information on. So if you just click on the next spreadsheet and you start on the item number. Now this is important. Whatever item you are looking for, whatever the lookup value is, that is where you need to start highlighting the section. In this case, we are trying to find the item number in the list and pull in the price per. So if you click on the very first item on the list and drag it down into the very bottom of the price per section, that will highlight the entire area that we're going to look for the pricing in. If we want to be able to copy this formula down to other cells without having to type or adjust the formula after the fact, I recommend you use your absolute referencing. To do this, hit F4. All F4 does is adds a $sign in between each of the cell ranges to make sure that if you copy or drag the formula down to any other area, it will not change the range that you're searching in. Alright, now if you hit comma, now it's asking you to get the column index number. That means from the area that you started to select, how many columns over are you going to pull the information from? So because we have the price in the second column in the section that we highlighted, we want to type in the number 2. This is telling Excel now to find that item number in this specific section and pull in whatever data is showing in the second column over. Now we'll hit comma. Now the range lookup, we want it to always be false. If you use true, it will give you an approximate match. So it will find the item number that is similar or close to the item number that you're actually looking for. We want it to be exactly the same, so we want to select false, which will give you the exact match. And then close bracket and enter, and it will automatically take you back to the original spreadsheet that you were in. So let's check this formula out. So if we want to find this item number to make sure that the 520 per is accurate, if you hit Control C, go back to your Details tab, hit Control F for the Find window to come up, Control V for the paste, and hit Find Next or Enter, and it comes up on the list as $5.20. That means that our VLOOKUP formula is accurate. Now let's take that formula and copy it down to the other cells. Now there's two ways of doing this. You could just double-click on the bottom right-hand corner of that specific cell, which will auto-populate everything, or you can just drag it down manually by clicking, holding, dragging, and then let it go once you're at the bottom. Either way will work. If you want, you can go back in and spot check a couple of your lookups to make sure that nothing has changed. Now, if we had missed adding in this absolute referencing, let's see what would have happened. Now you see that this will move. If we had not added that absolute referencing, every cell below the original formula will have shifted and gone up a cell number, which means it's looking at a completely different range on that workbook. And of course, because the range has shifted, it's not going to find these item numbers in that list because it's not looking in the right section on this sheet. So let's hit Control Z to undo, and we are back to the way that we were. Control Z again to replace the absolute referencing. Now, one other thing that I would do, of course, is to change the formatting of this section to currency. Now let's look at how to enter it by using the function bar. So we click in cell E4, and we go up to this bar here that says FX, which is insert function, and then you go on this list and you find the VLOOKUP. Now this is going to give you the most recent functions or common functions that are used. Now, as you can see, the VLOOKUP is not in this list. In order to find the VLOOKUP, you can use this drop-down arrow to find a specific category. In this case, we want to select lookup and reference. Now, alternatively, you could have typed in VLOOKUP in this box here. You have many options to choose. So let's scroll down until we get to VLOOKUP, click on it, and select OK. Now, if you're not sure if you're picking up the right formula, you can look at the description below each formula as you click on it. A VLOOKUP is basically a vertical lookup, but there is also a horizontal lookup, or an X lookup. Now, using the function arguments window, this is going to give you an easier way of understanding the formulas. So the lookup value. The lookup value, of course, is the item number, so you can click on it here, or you can just type in that cell if you wanted to. So if you know you want to find the item number, which is B4, you could just type in B4. Now make sure you click on the next space before you start entering the next aspect of the formula. So again, the table array is the range that you need to look in. Now if you're not sure what any of these mean, you can see the description at the bottom of the window. So let's click down on the Details tab and move over to that next section. B4 to C9. Now keep in mind, it also does not have the absolute referencing in this formula, and you can hit F4 at any time to add it, just like we did when we were manually typing in the formula. Click on the next section, and we are going to enter in number 2, because 2 means it is the second column of the section that we were looking at. Now I can't go back to this Details tab at this current time to see which column that is, because we've automatically moved over. Now if I did click on it, it's going to add in the word details into the formula. You can of course delete this. Now again, this is either going to be true or false. True is to look for an approximate match, and false is to find an exact match. We always want to use exact. There would be very few situations where you would want to use the word true. Now once your formula is in, I recommend doing a quick double check to make sure everything makes sense. So you're looking for B4, which is the item number. You're looking on the Details tab. In this section, B4 to B9, you've got your absolute referencing. And in that section, we want to pull in the information that is listed in the second column in that specific range. And we want to find an exact match. Now if you hit OK, your formula will automatically populate, and then we can copy it down just like we did in the manual entry way. Double click, and voila! Now one thing to keep in mind with the VLOOKUP is if this part number was listed multiple times on this list with different pricing, the formula is always going to look up the first occurrence in the list. So if someone had entered the same part number in here twice with two completely different pricing, it is only going to pull up the very first occurrence of that part. You'll never pull in this $6.20 into that formula. It's always going to show you $5.20 because it is the first time it appears in the list. Now hopefully that gives you a better understanding of how a VLOOKUP works. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment on the video below and I will answer you as soon as I can. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.